Finally, the detail upset kit from Pontos for the USS Enterprise CV-6 ended up on my desk, or in the mailbox, so to say. So I've not opened this one yet, so you will be joining me in the actual unboxing. No cheating on this one. I am very excited, I have to say. What I have seen in terms of pictures of this set really looks very promising. But let's see what we have inside. So then it's time to open the box and see what we have inside. And of course we will go through everything in more detail. Now it's just to get an overview. So instructions, and it looks like it's a hefty number of pages. Then we have a box which is very heavy, so I guess all the sheets are inside. Then it's a package of scribe brass parts. Then we have, let's see, sorry about this one. We have one big bag of goodies. What looks to be masking templates. Unfortunately a bit bent, but let's put that into some pressure. Some more masking. Steel photo etch. Decals or decals, depending on what you would like. And then we have the wooden deck, which I chose not in the blue tone, but in the teak tone, because I want to stain this myself and give it a bit of wear and tear, which would otherwise be a bit more difficult. So let me rig up and go into each and every part of this amazing set. So what do we have in this set? There is a stained wooden deck. Not sure if it's stained, but okay. Scribe parts, 260 pieces. 32 sheets of photo etch. Then 100 resin parts. So I guess both veteran models and Pontos parts are in this number. Masking sheet, aircraft decals, 2 sheets, dry transfer, and then the screws, which I guess also are in brass. Okay, let's open up and start with the photo etch sheets. So this is sheet A, and these are flight deck details. So both railing and the deck itself, the underside at least. Looks like we have the different glue lines for the bearing structures, and otherwise there looks to be walls and stairs. Then it's sheet B, And this sheet contains some of the catwalks with the railing, and also some of the supporting structure for the flight deck. Sheet C, much of the same as B, so support structures and what looks to be capstan rings, and railing, catwalk. Not sure if that has a different name. Please enlighten me if somebody knows. Then there's sheet D, and this one contains details for the bow deck, so the deck under the flight deck. So the deck itself and the wall, it looks like. Not sure about all of these, if they are related. But that's things that we, of course, get into when starting the build. But the detailing looks a bit more prototypical than the KA parts. But let's move on and see. Sheet E. And now we are on the stern flight deck, so the supporting structure under the flight deck itself on the stern. And those are in two parts. So this part, and then you have the structure, and then this one goes above or under, depending on which direction you look at it. Sheet F, so continuing on the stern flight deck. So these are the brackets, sheet F, so we're continuing on the stern flight deck, and these are the beams that go on the underside of the flight deck itself. Looks like you have to fold these ones and then add them to the lines that we saw on the deck itself. Otherwise, these look like capstan rings of some kind. Might be mistaken, of course. So sheet G, which actually is not labeled, but we have the walls and the structure for what should I call it? The rooms that are going on the stern, under the stern flight deck. So what you see when you see under the deck. And also have the name of the ship, Enterprise, which is of course going on the stern as well. Sheet H, and here we have the stern deck and detailing for some gun positions and some more of the beams, I guess. So yeah, and some hatch that looks like you can have in an open or closed position. Sheet I, and now we have moved over to the port side with at least some of the supporting structures for the gun positions and some of the detailing on that side. So both the catwalks, positions, and some of the walls it looks like. Sheet J, and continuing on the port side with then the hangar doors and stairs, ports for all of the different levels that are going on that side, the catwalks, and some more detailing on that port side. Sheet K, continuing on the port side details. Same thing here with the gun positions, the catwalks. And since these have some notches, I guess these are the sides that go on the gun positions, so that you need to curve them. And railing as well. Sheet L, so we have then the hangar doors and even more of the detailing on the port side. Looks like we're just rebuilding the entire port side in brass. So that's going to be a bit interesting, I think. But definitely this will add a lot of detail to the model. Then we have sheet M. Continuing on the port side, it looks like, with the hangar doors, the openings for the hangar doors, railing, what looks like it's going to be a vent shaft or vent shafts here. That's a nice way of doing it, I have to say. And some of the stairs. So then we are on sheet N, another sheet that's not labeled, but we're still on the port side with some of the long stairs, cranes. So we have the crane parts, catwalks, and other of the detailing that is going on the port side. Sheet O, and here we have some of the details for the gun positions. So as far as I can understand, these are the ammo racks for the gun positions and railing. I'm not sure if we're still on the port side here. Nothing that gives me any clue about that, but that's what it is, at least. Sheet P. Here we have some of the underside of the flight deck, it looks like. So I guess this is going on top of the beams. And otherwise hatches and parts for the gun positions, both these and these, and railing. Sheet Q. So now we are over on the starboard side. So hangar doors and parts for the gun positions, catwalks, railing, walls, and other parts that I'm not really sure what could be. but that's the fun part of starting with instructions. Sheet R, so we're still on the starboard side. Details for catwalks, railing, I guess walls that you need to fold up, doors, and yeah. Then sheet S, and we're still on the starboard side, so more of the detailing for that side. Ladders, catwalks, ammo racks, gun positions, and what looks to be beams for the undersides of some of the platforms, probably. Sheet T, still on the starboard side, so vents, hangar doors, gun positions, railings, parts for a crane, and then we have the door openings. Sheet U. So now we have moved over to the island. So it looks like these are parts for the conning tower on the island, brackets, sidewalks or catwalks, ladders that are going on the sides, and supporting structures. I guess we have maybe the bridge here itself. Not too sure, but looks nice. Let's take a look at the other side. Maybe that will give us a clue. Yeah. A nice sheet, for sure. Another nice sheet, I have to say. Sheet V, so still on the island. Here we have some of the detailing for the funnels and railings, platforms, support brackets, and these, I guess, are going on the inside, and some of the railing, it looks like. So on top you have that, like the top board on the railing. Sheet W, so here we have the radar and what looks to be some of the stair parts for the backside of the island. Might be wrong. Some of the railing, but a lot of the details that are going on the island itself. Sheet X, so now we have moved up to the platform, looks like, on the mast, and details for that one. Same with ladders, details for the mast, yard arms, and a lot of smaller details here. Yeah, things will hopefully become a bit more apparent when we get started. So then we have ran out of letters in the alphabet, so Pontos has then gone over to the Greek alphabet, it looks like. I'm pretty sure this is gamma, and we have two sheets that are similar. So These looks like they are, of course, doors that can be in an open and closed position, and details for what I reckon is the 20mm guns. And some boxes of some kind, cabinets maybe. Yeah, cabinets. There we have the doors. 2 of those, that is. Then we have sheet CETA, which are degaussing cables as far as I can understand. Yes. So that's going to be a bit more nicer than the copper wire that's provided in the Trumpeter kit, at least. Then we have sheet Sigma. Can't really tell what all of this is. I guess it's extra details for some of the areas that we have been through already. What looks like it could be something that needs to be folded up of some kind, at least railing, deck parts, at least when you look at the structure, and something. Of course it's something. Yeah, no, I'm just making sense, right? Then the final sheet, Lambda it is. And as far as I can see, these are details for the planes. So the canopy, details for the wings, some more for the hull itself. Not sure. But very nicely detailed. I'm not sure if you can see the detailing that's inside the canopy. This is really nice. So that's going to be a pleasure to work with, I guess. So then we have the decals or decals for the aircrafts. Not sure about all the usages here. I reckon that all of the different planes had on CV-6 had number 6 on it to indicate which group it was in. Otherwise, this has to be in something that I figure out when I'm working on it to get it more prototypical. Still waiting for my big ebook, and hopefully that will give a bit of more information on that one. Then we have the dry transfer sheet. Looks like we have the draught numbers, the name, where you can actually use both Hornet, Enterprise, Yorktown names. So nearly all of the Yorktown class ships. So that's interesting. Otherwise, not sure if these are for the flight deck or not, but seem a bit small to do that. But let's see. Then we have 3 steel photo etch sheets. So these are for the elevators. So it has 3 elevators, of course. And there's the photo etch around the elevator itself, and then we have the railing. So I'm thinking that I'm going to have one of the elevators in a lower position, so it looks like an airplane is coming up from the hangar below, and then of course the railing would be raised, so to give it a bit of an interest. Otherwise, not any other parts on this one. Same with this sheet, steel sheet. So elevator details. Not sure about this one, where this one goes, but saw the same thing on the other sheet. And then the last steel photo etch sheet is this one, which I assume is for the deck. When comparing it to the KA one, I haven't really found those details that go on the deck. Might be some of the brass ones that is similar, but those should really have been in steel, in my opinion, at least, to get it to look more like it did in real life. So that's maybe where I need to combine the two ones. Not sure. That will become a bit more apparent when I start the build, I guess. Okay, so then we have 3 different masking sheets for the flight deck. So I'm not sure if it's visible, but here you have each of the markings for the deck, and this smaller one as well. And these are like a sticker, so you just glue them to the deck, and well, you need to cut out these parts where the white is going on the deck first, of course, and then glue it to the deck, airbrush, and then you at least have the markings in the correct place, hopefully, at least. This is a really good addition to the set, I think, at least. It makes life a bit easier in terms of figuring out the placement and getting it correctly. Then it's the wooden deck. I am not sure of the placement of all of these, if this is front or bow, stern, but at least they are quite nice. So what I know that there are also a blue version of this, so if you don't want to stain it yourself, that's at least a possibility, but I would like to stain it myself so I can get a bit more of the realistic wear and tear on the deck itself. This is then the part where you have the island, it looks like, and then the last part of the wooden deck. And I would say looks fairly good. There are no like separations between the different planks within the deck, which doesn't seem very realistic, but I guess when you have the blue stain on, that won't be too much of a problem anyway. I'm not sure if you would see it. So let's move on then. So then we are over to the brass parts. So these are the propellers, which is quite typical Pontos type. course, it's a bit too shiny, and it definitely needs some work to get it to look the part. Of course, you can do type of airbrushing and weathering and so on. But I have also used a burnishing type of liquid from AK. So this one, which oxidized the brass, so gives a bit more of like a wear and tear kind of a look. But you should definitely use this with care. Something to test out at least, I would say. Yeah, let's move on. And we have the anchor chain. Very typical Pontos chain. But I think it's good for the scale. It looks realistic. Of course, you can weather it and everything, but yeah, a good addition. And we have the first bag of scribed brass or turned brass, whatever floats your boat, so to say. But this one contains capstans and reel parts. Next bag, and this has the paravane and what looks to be some of the poles. Next bag, these are the jack staffs, ensign staff, and crane. All looking good. Then we have a bag with what looks to be parts for the mast and maybe the fire director and the ship's bell. And this bag contains barrels for the 20 meters, it looks like, and the base for the 20 meters. So you need to cut those in two and add them to the base resin parts. And then the last bag with scribed parts, and these look like they are the Bofors barrels and the 5-inch barrels. Then the kit contains a number of veteran models parts. I assume these are for the Bofors. And as all of the veteran models parts, they are really, really detailed. So combining these with the brass parts, usually you will get a really good result. There's of course several of these. Looks to be kind of a binocular. Not sure if it's a part of a target giver. And then we have these, which there are also at least 4 of, and 4 of the Bofors ones. And then some more of the veteran models parts. I haven't been able to identify which one these are, but let's see when we go through the instructions if things become more apparent. In terms of the other resin parts, we have the 5-inch guns, parts for that one. It's not necessarily easy to identify all of these without going very into the instructions. So it's just a quick one. And these, so those are what I assume are for the 5-inch guns. Then we have the MK33 director parts, very nicely molded. You can see a lot of detail here. This one as well, assume goes something like this, with probably some photo etch parts to connect it and give it some more detail. Then we have the searchlights. So that's the searchlight itself with the brace or holder bracket for the searchlight, and what looks to be actually real glass, or at least sounds like real glass. So that's a nice touch from Pontos, I think. Otherwise, there are some cleats, or cleats, fair leads, with also some other minor parts. I've not identified these as what they are. And then the final resin part is this one, which looks like it's a platform that we're going to replace from the kit. Not sure if this is one of the gun positions. I guess it's the MK33 director position, but I'm not really 100% sure. But it looks good. Looks good, definitely. Okay, so then we have the instructions for the detail upset. This has 12 A3 pages. No, sheets. Actually 24 pages. It's quite comprehensive. When I have looked through it, I must say that it is a step up from the previous Pontos, or the older Pontos instructions. Actually, I like the instructions that was provided with Admiral Graf Spee kit. That's really a step up from what I've seen before. And these are definitely much of the same quality, I would say. And as far as I understood, it's the same designer as well. So it gives you a bit of an overview. I haven't seen the same that I did on the Admiral Graf Spee, on like the overview of all the parts, and giving you more like a checklist, or figure where all the different parts are placed. But I have not looked through it all, of course. But otherwise, so you have the listing of all the different parts, so you can take an inventory check, and also when looking for the different brass parts, this is quite handy as well. So here you have the palisade, which goes up on the flight deck, if you depending on how you want to present the model, of course, and then the hull draft markings. Going to the next page, we have a very detailed overview of the deck and the different parts that go on the deck. So this will of course require some different steps. So as it's outlined up here, you have the different steps that you need to take in terms of adding the wooden deck, of course, adding the elevator holes, photo etch, masking, and then the dry transfer, which we have looked at before. But it's quite nice, I would say, and definitely gives you an idea that this will require a lot of work. And then you have the end parts. I know that this has a different name. Oh, it just slips my mind. I know, it slipped my mind. Okay, so then we have the different resin part guns that need to be put together. So we have the 5-inch guns with really good instructions, and these are 3D images, so it gives you a bit better details than some of the photos that we have seen before from Pontos. So the MK33 gun directors, and how to put it all together. I think I'm coming down with something. Then we have the bow force, 40 millimeters. Not too bad in terms of how many parts that's required. Just look at this. If this is the detail that you can get out of this, and these are not 3D, these are images, photos, then it will be very nice. Then you have the 1.1-inch gun, quad guns. Which are 3D images or diagrams. Not too bad. Strange that they combine it, but a bit, it's okay. And then we have the Orlicon 20 millimeters that you are going to make 50 of. So better to put up an assembly line, but it's not too bad in terms of how many parts you have to put together. I've seen it worse. And then we have the Searchlights, where we had real glass. At least it looked like real glass. That's a really nice way from Pontos, I have to say. Then we have page 5. So this is then where you start to work with the conning tower deck, the island conning tower deck. All the detailing that is going on there, with the bridge, as we saw on one of the sheets, the deck, the supporting structure beneath. Yes, it all comes together quite nicely. And then how to add the platforms for the island. page 6 then, where you have starboard side of the island. Sorry, it's not the best format to show this. Then you have the island port side, a big A3 sheet which is kind of glossy. Isn't working too well for YouTube, but hopefully you will get an idea. And as far as I know, you can also download these instructions from pontosmodel.com as PDFs, where it's also possible then to zoom in on images, which at least is something I prefer. Getting old and need glasses and all that stuff. So yeah, these are then all the details for the island. Then it's the funnel, the platform around the funnel details themselves. And I have to say, comparing the funnel details with what you get from KA, they have hugely simplified the look of those, I have to say. Yeah. And then you have the stairs on the back side of the island. So then we have the sea radar, all the details for that one. Before going over to the main mast with all the yard arms attaching it to the funnel. And then we have the tripod platform. As you can see, they are replacing a lot of the plastic kit parts with brass, which they also did for the Admiral Graf Spee, and I have to say it makes a completely different model. And I'm just loving it. Then we have the top platform that goes on top of the main mast, with all the yard arms, and this is the CX AM radar. I'm not sure if it has a nickname. I'm pretty sure it does. I would definitely like to hear from one of you guys if you know, and just see those details. Is this amazing or not? Then we have the foremast. Before going over to page 10, where it all comes together. And this is a really nice overview from Pontos. I have to say, I really like that you can refer to a picture where you can see everything, how it's placed, how they have been thinking, and of course comparing it to historical photos and so on makes it makes the build a lot easier, and having things to compare, referring to, and so on. And then, like, okay, here we have a derrick boom just inside of these ones. Okay, so here we have some kind of an overview picture that I talked about in the beginning. Don't see any part numbers or anything like legend, but okay, that's how it is. Then we have page 11, so the bow flight detail, flight deck, putting the support structure together. Yeah, that's really what this entire page is about. Then you have the flight deck, the underpart, the bow, and the very nice support structures. And we have an overview photo again, which I think is very nice. We have reels and the flight deck, the deck under the flight deck, capstans, chain cover, which is going on the bow deck, all the details for that one, chain stoppers. So here we can see that the chains have been installed, anchor chains. Okay, so going over to page 13, which is the stern flight deck. And again, we have all the support structure being put together. Yeah, not much to say about that. I think those are quite fun to do. Just love working with the photo etch in those bigger projects like this one. We have definitely different things that we like to do, of course, but this floats my boat or ship, so to say. Then it's page 14, so the stern deck. Much of the same thing with the support structures. And yes, and here we have what I call the housing, or I'm not sure what this should be called. Looks like more like ventilation. Well, let's see. Then we have the port side, which is definitely the most detailed side. A lot of things going on there, with the possibility to have these hangar doors in different positions. I'm thinking that I want to have some of those doors open and detailing somewhat inside as well. Inside of the interior is not part of this kit, but I will take a look at how I can do some scratch building and see if I can get some interesting details and then have the doors open, have some planes inside and so on. Always, it's of course more fun to do and more fun to look at as well. Yeah, a lot of detail that is going into the port side. Then we have page 16, which is just a continuation of the port side. Sorry if I'm going through this a bit fast, but this is not going to be like a 10-hour video. Then I guess this is how it's got to be. But it is just to give you an idea of the detailing from this kit. Then we have the port side. Less detail on that side, of course, but still they are replacing more or less everything from the plastic kit parts, which of course makes a completely different model, I have to say. Going on the port side, and then we have the overview of the port side as well. Very nice indeed. Yes, starboard side. Did I say that not that much went on the port side? I of course meant on the starboard side. Port side is definitely a lot more detailed than the starboard side. So sorry about that one, but still you can see on the starboard side as well that Pontos is replacing a lot of the plastic parts. And when looking at the number of parts on this one, this is not going to be finished anytime soon, is it? But is it going to be a fun build? I think so, definitely. Okay. So here again you can see that they have the doors open. Bit. Yes. That was page 20, and then we have the continuation of starboard side. And the boat crane, which is going on in the starboard side. And then at the end, we have the overview of everything. And these are also important to get the placement of the degaussing cables, it looks like. Okay, so that's page 21, and then we have the detailing for the planes, which I've been through more or less with the KA kit as well. You need to take a closer look into the details on each of KA compared to Pontos before making a decision there on which one is the best one. I have ordered some extra planes so I can have more planes on display on the ship. I think that's definitely better than just having 15. So having like 30-40 planes, that would definitely look the part. Okay, so the last one. Okay, then we're going over the smaller, more details. So jack staff, ensign staff, bomb elevators, hangar catapult, accommodation ladder, which is of course going on the side, and looks like you can have them into positions, either stowed or set out, or what it is called when you have put it out. Yeah, word might come to mind. And then we have the gun tubs, where with the ammo racks and so on. And then the last page, which is more overview, like the placement of the 5-inch guns, the 40 millimeters MK 1.1 inch gun, MK Director crane. So this is big crane, and finally detailing. There we have it on the starboard side of the island. Okay, so we have been through it all. It's definitely a more comprehensive kit than the KA one. I have to say I do like the Pontos one a lot better, but of course it's double the price, so it's $310 or $20 compared to $560 plus shipping, of course, which is of course quite expensive, but looking at what you get with this Pontos kit, with everything that they have done in terms of detailing all or almost all parts of the ship, I think Pontos will be my main choice. As I said, there are some parts for the flight deck that I'm not quite sure of yet, in terms of steel or brass photo etch, but that's something I need to check out. Otherwise, of course, it's a good idea to check out the different parts when building the kit part, building the Pontos part, building the KA equivalent, and really make your choice at that point in time. That will of course require a lot of build time, which I'm not sure I want to invest. Maybe in some parts where I have a bit of a difficult time to decide, but let's see. Okay, so let's wrap this up. I hope this gave you an idea of the content of the kit, and maybe you want to buy this one. Maybe you think that K is good enough, or even better for that matter. Yeah, and of course this is for the 1942 configuration, so keep that in mind if you are looking to build for another period. Okay, see you later. Like and subscribe if you want me to continue making these kinds of videos. Bye now.